Question 16. What is AOP module? Answer. The AOP module is used for developing aspects for our Spring-enabled application. Much of the support has been provided by the AOP Alliance in order to ensure the interoperability between Spring and other AOP frameworks. This module also introduces metadata programming to Spring. Using Spring's metadata support, we will be able to add annotations to our source code that instruct Spring on where and how to apply aspects. Question 17. What is JDBC abstraction and DAO module? Answer. Using this module we can keep up the database code clean and simple and prevent problems that result from a failure to close database resources. A new layer of meaningful exceptions on top of the error messages given by several database servers is brought in this module. In addition, this module uses Spring's AOP module to provide transaction management services for objects in a Spring application. Question 18. What are object/relational mapping integration module? Answer. Spring also supports for using of an object/relational mapping (ORM) to lower straight JDBC by providing the ORM module. Spring provides support to tie into several popular ORM frameworks, including Hibernate, JDO, and IB8PISSQL maps. Spring's transaction management supports each of these ORM frameworks as well as JDBC. Question 19. What is web module? Answer. This module is built on the application context module, providing a context that is appropriate for web-based applications. This module also contains support for several web-oriented tasks such as transparently handling multi-part requests for file uploads and programmatic binding of request parameters to your business objects. It also contains integration support with Jakarta Struts. Question 20. What is AOP Alliance? Answer. AOP Alliance is an open-source project whose goal is to promote adoption of AOP and interoperability among different AOP implementations by defining a common set of interfaces and components. Question 21. What is Spring configuration file? Answer. Spring configuration file is an XML file. This file contains the classes information and describes how these classes are configured and introduced to each other. Question 22. What does a simple Spring application contain? Answer. These applications are like any Java application. They are made up of several classes, each performing a specific purpose within the application, but these classes are configured and introduced to each other through an XML file. This XML file describes how to configure the classes, known as the Spring configuration file. Question 23. What is XML Bean Factory? Answer. Bean Factory has many implementations in Spring, but one of the most useful one is ORG Spring Framework Beans Factory XML Bean Factory, which loads its beans based on the definitions contained in an XML file. To create an XML Bean Factory, pass a java.io.input stream to the constructor. The input stream will provide the XML to the factory. For example, the following code snippet uses a java.io file input stream to provide a bean definition XML file to XML Bean Factory. Question 24. Explain bean lifecycle in Spring Framework. Answer. 1. The Spring container finds the bean's definition from the XML file and instantiates the bean. 2. Using the dependency injection, Spring populates all of the properties as specified in the bean definition. 3. If the bean implements the bean name aware interface, the factory calls set bean name, passing the bean's ID. 4. If the bean implements the bean factory aware interface, the factory calls set bean factory, passing an instance of itself. 5. If there are any bean post processors associated with the bean, their post process before initialization methods will be called. 6. If an init method is specified for the bean, it will be called. 7. Finally, if there are any bean post processors associated with the bean, their post process after initialization methods will be called. Question 25. What is significance of JSF Spring integration? Answer. Spring JSF integration is useful when an event handler wishes to explicitly invoke the bean factory to create beans on demand, such as a bean that encapsulates the business logic to be performed when a submit button is pressed. Question 26. How to integrate your Struts application with Spring? Answer. To integrate your Struts application with Spring, we have two options. Configure Spring to manage your actions as beans using the Context Loader plugin, and set their dependencies in a Spring context file. Subclass Spring's action support classes and grab your Spring managed beans explicitly using a getWebApplication context method. Question 27. What are the important beans life cycle methods? Answer. There are two important bean life cycle methods. The first one is setup, which is called when the bean is loaded into the container. The second method is the teardown method, which is called when the bean is unloaded from the container. Question 28. What are inner beans? Answer. When wiring beans, if a bean element is embedded to a property tag directly, then that bean is set to the inner bean. The drawback of this bean is that it cannot be reused anywhere else. Question 29. What are the different types of bean injections? Answer. There are two types of bean injections. 1 by setter, 2 by constructor. Question 30. What are different types of auto wire types? Answer. There are 4 different types by which auto wiring can be done: by name, by type, constructor, auto detect.